Do I have to hit okay? I've already done that.
And we're live. Welcome, my friends and gems. I'm Dame Lillian Walker, and today I am so excited to share with you the story of Anne Bandini, where she was crushed with exhausting fatigue and terrible pain, and things were not looking bright, but she had faith and hope, and she believed that there was another possibility out there that could help her receive what it was that she was looking for. So, Anne, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Well, I'm just doing amazing after the length of time that I have been able to be patched. And I think the most exciting thing is that when you're in a process of extreme exhaustion, which seems to be epidemic in the world today through all kinds of situations. But I think the thing that you and I agree on is that the patching is a process of restoration. And even the Bible says the restoration of all things. And I really feel that that's the season that we're in. And medically and health wise, these are really just not hot topics. These are necessities for us. And because we are the boomers, I am, Lillian is not, we have to have an understanding on how to sustain and retain and really restore a lot of the things that we didn't know were available to us. And this is a common thing because people are beginning to really understand that health is wealth. And we don't have to be in the situations that we're in. We know that our predecessors were very active. They were in nature. They were actually building and doing things that I guess what you'd say modern civilization that we've been in the last, well, our whole lifetime, but in the last season. And our bodies have had ill effects from that. So for me personally, I didn't know how I was going to amend that until I met Lillian. Now I knew Lillian, but until I met Lillian regarding what we're talking about today.
Yeah. So I'm so excited about what you're saying because you said about retaining, sustaining, and restoring your health because so many of us, as we age, and the truth of the matter is we're all aging. A baby that's a day old in comparison to when he or she is 2 days old is 100% older the day after he is born, because he's lived half of his life the day before, and then the second day, he's alive. So he or she is older the next day. We're all aging. And I think the last 4 years, we have brought to the front of our awareness how important, how vitally, critically important it is to pay attention to your body, to take care of yourself, to be mindful about what you put in it or on it. And whether you eat it, drink it, smell it, inhale it, absorb it through your skin, it affects us. So let's talk a little bit about part of your journey because you've had a fascinating life. I've had the privilege to know you since I want to say since 2000, something like 13 or 14 when I met you through a mutual friend of ours.
I think maybe, yeah, I don't remember, but somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while back. And then
Well, I'm very eclectic. I met Lillian and I'm an author. I have two books in print, one that I never printed because I'd only give it out discriminately, and then one that should have been in print, but we're working on trying to get past the obstacles with that. But all of them, I began to call myself a social author because I see things from the spiritual realm and I see things that are happening on earth. And we want to marry all of that so that people can understand. And what is being since 2000, we know that, 2020, we know that the whole earth has been, I don't know, undermined with what our natural well-being should have always been. And that has affected people adversely on many levels, depending upon their school of thought, their previous wellness, and their education. So this is the greatest thing we can do is share about the stem cell activation patches, which actually Lillian introduced to me when I was in the process exactly where I am today, moving. And it was May 2 years ago. And I said, I don't have time to hear what you've got. I really don't, I can't do another thing right now. I'm in the process of packing, which I'm doing today. Isn't that interesting? So I just kind of, I mean, I love Lily and I know everything she does is really good and it's important. But it wasn't until, let's see, the following October when I called her and said, I'm in so much pain, I can't walk. What are you talking about? And see, when you have people in your life that care about you or know there's something you need to know about, it's just not for a random reason, because we are in a realm of connectivity. And that's what I love about the patching is everybody shares the experience and the power and the shift. Now, I knew nothing about these, but I tell you, her friend, because she was out of the country, sent me 2 patches. I don't even remember what they were, but I tell you, I was so exhausted. I was like a zombie. That's what I said. And I felt like a pop-up book that I could actually see with the peripheral. And I was pain-free the next day. So that's pretty good considering sometimes it takes a lot longer for people to have an experience. So immediately I know I needed them. And I also had needed to change some things in my life, which took a little bit more time. Sometimes we get in a place because we look at our age instead of our productivity, and we get kind of in this kind of negative thought. But I want to tell you, I have been on patches, and you tell them the date because you remember the date.
Yeah, it was 11/22. It was November 22nd, 2023, when you started on the patches.
And I literally, it was in 2022, it wasn't last year, because I've been on them over a year.
Right. It was 22. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was 11/20 because that's how I remember it, because it's all the same number. It's like 11/22/22.
And the most important thing is to know that there are 2 master patches and 12 support patches. And just getting on X39 is what most people really, do somewhat at the beginning, possibly more. But there is a qualifying factor of a 1 year protocol, and we can send those out to show people what the process is because we all have different DNA. But I tell you, I got on and we go through the detoxing, and sometimes we're a little tired. You definitely have to drink your water. I don't know where mine is right now. And this time of year right now, right here, which will be 2 years since I've been in this state that I live in now, in another 2 months, I have no pain. I had a fall and an injury of a hand, and that's the only thing that I get a little bit of pain on once in a while. And I either put an ice wave on it, or I put, what do I put on it? I put on glutathione. Instantly gone. Yeah, I love it. And once you get patched and you start to understand what they all are, you can be very creative, learning how to patch and where they're going to be the most effective for you. So I personally, I think Lillian needs to tell us a little bit about how they came about, how David was assigned through prayer, and there are scriptures on each patch, which is even more amazing. So share that part with us.
So this is a really fascinating story because, again, we don't know what we don't know until we know it. And when we ask, we do receive. The ancient scriptures, if you look them up, it says, knock and the door will be open. Ask and you shall receive. And so the Department of Defense had already retained David Schmidt, our scientist, to invent and create all sorts of different things for them. And so they were having a challenge with their Navy SEALs, because the Navy SEALs at the time were taking amphetamines, uppers, and energy drinks, and that worked. The only problem was that, yes, it boosts their energy, but as soon as the effects wear out, then they crash. And they're the first line of defense, so they have to always be on their A game. So they approached David and said, listen, David, is there a chance that you could invent something that will enhance the energy of our Navy SEALs? As you know, we have them in submarines for 90 days at a time. And for the 90 days that they're in the submarine, they're in this enclosed pressurized capsule underwater, deep in the sea, bombarded with LED lights, not getting any fresh air or sunshine. And it's very hard on their bodies. What can you do for them? And he said, well, let me see what I can do. and he's been an inventor since he was a child. And so he went into prayer and into meditation. He happened to be here in California in Mount Shasta when he went into that deep meditative state, which is what he always does when he invents things. And as he quieted himself, he heard that small, still voice that came and gave him this entire download packet of information. And he's like, wow. He went immediately to his lab to start testing. And that's when the first patch was born, which is called Energy Enhancer, which I will show you. Looks like this. And that's when that particular patch was born. And it was made, designed specifically as a divine download for the Navy SEALs. Now, little did we know that then a few years later, 2004 would come around. And of course, 9/11 took place, defense spending changed. And then David then was free of that obligation with the Department of Defense. And he was able to do a deep dive into stem cell research. And then not only did Energy Enhancer 20 years ago was brought to the public so that the public would have their energy enhanced. This patch does three things: enhances energy, increases your heart rate variability, and it improves your lymphatic system. So if you know anything about the immune system, it relies very heavily on your lymphatic system. And your heart rate variability, that basically means how elastic your heart is. So if something happens that you get afraid, your heart rate jumps up, you don't want it to get stuck idling high at 150 or 200 beats per minute. It's very scary to be 200 beats per minute. You want it to, after that situation goes away, you want to have enough elasticity of your heart muscle so that it'll come back down to normal. Well, that's what this patch does. So then 20 years ago, that's when he began to do his deep dive into stem cell research, and then developed a suite of what we now have are 11 patches. And we have the mother cell activation patch, which was just born 4 years ago, just in time for the pandemic in 2019. And then 2 years ago, we had the mother cell activation patch. And so those patches are named X39, that's the mother. And then the daughter is X49. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that were causing you this crushing pain and fatigue. And I like to tell people that we have a silent thief in our midst. Every single American in the United States is facing this. We have a silent thief that is stealing from us different things, like it's stealing from us our DHEA, fountain of youth hormone, and we have no idea. And one of my friends who's a doctor who happens to be my mentor, Dr. Jack Kruse, did a survey recently when he had his daughter's birthday party. He rented out a hall, and he's so smart because he did something that nobody does, but makes sense knowing what he knows and what I know. But one of the things that he discovered during that birthday party, because there were like 200 high school kids that were at this party, he discovered that 80 to 90% of those high school kids had insomnia. You're like, wait a minute, how is it possible that out of 200 kids, you have 180 or 190 of them who all have insomnia? What's the common denominator? I'll tell you what the common denominator is here in just a moment. But this is the silent thief that has been robbing you, has robbed me, has robbed everybody I know of energy, robbed us of sleep, robbed us of DHEA, fountain of youth hormone, has robbed us of an effectively working pancreas, dysregulating our insulin, and boosting a bunch of fire inside of our body, which we call inflammation, which causes pain, aches, and is the beginning of all sorts of other different type of dysregulated conditions in the body. And everybody has different organs and organ systems that are the weakest in the body. So whichever one is the weakest in your body is the first place where you're going to have an issue with, right? And so that is our light environment. You're like, light environment? What do you mean? Well, I'm talking about the light bulbs specifically and the electronics that you have in your home. So let me share with you real quickly here a little slide. I want to share this with you because I think this, when you start to understand, realize, and recognize what it is that you have in your midst that it wasn't in your awareness, but now that you're aware, you can start to do something about it. So, oh, by the way, did you know that blue light destroys? That's right. It doesn't just tinker with it, it destroys your DHEA fountain of youth hormone. You
Wow.
think that's going to maybe affect your health? Yes, would be the answer. Do you think perhaps that would steal you of sleep? Yes. Do you think perhaps it might dysregulate and disrupt some of your circadian rhythms of the body? Yes, it absolutely does. So the very device that you are watching this broadcast on, desktop, laptop, iPad, notepad, cell phone, doesn't matter. All of those have blue light screens, and that blue light spectrum, which is a blue light spectrum that is man-made, affects our body by destroying our DHEA fountain of youth hormone, increasing inflammation, and increasing insulin resistance. Those, just one of those is huge, let alone all three of those. So now I want you to take a journey back into your past 10 years of existence, your last 20 years of existence. Let's assume that the average person on here is 20 years old. So I want you to think about when you were a kid, 4, 5, 6 years old, 15, 20 years ago. Do you remember hearing about everyone in your midst having diabetes, pre-diabetes, diabetes 1, 2, and 3, having pregnant women around you with gestational diabetes? No, none of us did, because 20 years ago, this was not a huge problem. 20 years ago, we still used incandescent bulbs. However, we now use LED lights, not just in our electronic devices, which 100% of electronic devices use LEDs. But now let's look at your light environment in your home as well as your place of work. This is huge. So I want you to realize and recognize anytime you go out in public, you go to the post office, the supermarket, you go to the whatever store, department stores, you go to the mall, you go to the movies, you go to a hospital, you go to a doctor's office, whatever place of work or business, your mechanic's shop, all of them have LED lights. In the state of California, we can't go to Lowe's or Home Depot or CVS or Walmart and buy incandescent bulbs. They just don't have them. They're illegal. So
Amazing. Amazing.
you can only get LED lights. And we moved over to LED lights in an effort to save energy, to save electricity, to help the environment, but at the expense of trading the dollars that we save in electricity. Now you have to spend it in healthcare because now you're causing disease inside of your body through destruction of DHEA, fountain of youth hormone, insulin resistance, and inflammation. So now those dollars that you used to spend on your electrical bill and all these other things, guess what? Now you get to redirect those dollars and now buy pills and potions and lotions and doctor visits and hospitals, inadvertent, accidental hospital stays, because when you get depleted of your energy and you have exhaustion and fatigue, if you're driving and you're struggling with those conditions, do you think you might be a little more predisposed to an accident driving or even walking on your own 2 feet? You can trip on your own 2 feet, break a hand, a finger, an arm, a leg, a hip. Oh no. You can see how everything is connected. So this is a very huge silent thief that I feel that no one is talking about. And other than Dr. Jack and myself, Dr. Jack Kruse, who happens to be, you're wondering, who is this Dr. Jack that you keep talking about? Look him up on YouTube. You'll learn a thing or two. Dr. Jack Kruse is he's an expert in photobiomodulation, and he's a brain surgeon. He does brain surgery, neck and spine surgery. He started as an oral surgeon, and he learned a huge lesson about photobiomodulation. He was able to totally redo his body through changing of his light environment and doing some other few behavioral changes as well. So what can you do about this? Well, for Anne and myself and all of those who are on my team, all of the people in our group who are actively on the stem cell activation patches, we have the good fortune and the relief that we are unringing the bell of damage because the mother and the daughter cell activation patch are repairing, restoring, and regenerating our DHEA fountain of youth hormone. It's increasing all sorts of different things by replacing, restoring, and regenerating our cells at a cellular level so that whatever damaged cells that are there are going to be replaced with a brand new one. And because this increases our natural glutathione levels that we were conceived with in the mother's womb, we'll also detox. 30% uptick in glutathione means that we will detox through urination, defecation, and perspiration, also known as sweating, peeing, and pooping it out, for those who want a less technical terminology, will get rid of those toxins, because dead cells or damaged cells, make no mistakes, we don't want them floating around in our body. Those don't do us any good. We need to purge those from our body as quickly as possible.
Amen.
Through our detox and detoxification system. And so we become more effective as we activate 33% of our previously dormant stem cells. So as you realize and recognize, oh my goodness, I never thought about it, but you're right. I have LED lights. Every electronic component in my home is an LED light. So I'm getting, because make no mistakes, it's not just through your eyes, because your eyes are, you can make believe. If you want to, I should get a graphic of this where I get a picture of a person and just put 2 clocks here, and then have the, instead of the hour and the minute hand just going slowly like it does, I should have them spinning really fast, because our eyes are really circadian rhythm oscillators. Oscillators just means that it, like a fan oscillates the hands of a fan. So that's what oscillation means. So our eyes, because they're circadian rhythm oscillators, as we receive bands of light, whether it's from the sun, much different from the sun than it is from blue lights. So for example, one of the things that you can do, even if, I would never tell anybody what to do. I'm not your mama. I already got 3 kids. I don't need a 4th. So I would never dream of telling anybody what to do. Would never tell anybody, you have to get on these patches. You need to start and get started today. But one of the things that I do personally for my own health and well-being, because I understand the light spectrums, when you look at a blue light screen, you're signaling through your eyes to your melatonin and serotonin levels, which have to do with your sleep and your wake cycles, but also all the circadian rhythms of all the organ systems of the body. As soon as I look at my cell phone, my body thinks it's noon, even though it might be 6:30, 7:30 in the morning. Imagine that. You think that's going to throw off your sleep cycle a bit? Yeah. You think it'll throw off your digestive cycle a bit? Yeah. You think it'll throw off your hormonal cycle a bit? Yeah. It'll pretty much throw off all the cycles in the body, because you're off by whatever amount of time. If you're waking up at 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, even 9 o'clock in the morning, if you're looking at it and your body's getting the signal that it's noon when it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, or 6 in the morning, or worse yet, I have plenty of people who get up at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. You're looking at your phone and your body's off by almost 8 hours. How can that not affect you? How can that not fatigue you? And again, you're immediately destroying DHEA as you're looking at that. Not a good thing. Does that make sense?
It really makes sense, Lillian. One of the things that I just wanted to throw in here that I didn't say before, because this is so educational for people, and they've got to begin to consume that this isn't just a language. This is a process of restoring everything, anything and everything that you've actually been through. I was so exhausted, like I said, when I was coming out of the last state into this state, and I couldn't even push a baby cart because of the fatigue, and I had no idea how to turn that exhaustion around. I just thought I had to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and I had been doing that probably for a year prior to the move, because of the lack of understanding that there would even be something that could change my economy, and I could let go of something and get into something else, because I had been on a traveling journey for several years from coast to coast and writing a book. So all of that to say that one of the things we discussed, Lillian and I, is like when David Schmidt designed the energy patches, which, by the way, are the most amazing things. I wear them every single day. And you're not supposed to sleep with them on, but I have by accident. And I'm going to tell you, you can Zoom the next day if you do that. I mean, I'm not saying you're supposed to, but probably I wear them less than a lot of time. And it really, you just feel wonderful. But energy drinks are extremely popular, and they were something that I would participate, but I'd feel that crash. And I mean, seniors, it's even worse. You can't drink those, and young people consume them instead of soda pops today. And they're the most detrimental things for your health. They have so many chemicals in them. And we're hearing about a lot of early deaths all over the world. And whatever your your position is on that, this is not going to add to your well-being when you need to do things to eradicate that and restore health. We cannot be on these kind of protocols anymore. We have to understand that this miracle that David discovered or was given in Lillian is already a person who is very much educated in this realm of health and wellness. And that's why I'm so grateful for being able to be aligned with her and the other team that we have, all the amazing medical and wellness practitioners. They're not just, they're just amazing people. So there's so much education with all of this that we could sit here for probably the next 2 or 3 or 4 hours. But I know you can only take bite-sized pieces. So we want to let you know that we're here to help. And we will give you the following information. Go ahead, Lillian.
So yes, we are. So Anne and I have partnered up, and we're going to be doing weekly, once, twice, sometimes if we can. We'll see if we can fit in 3, both here on YouTube as well as Facebook. We'll be sharing these bits of information and action steps that you can take. Because for obviously those of you who are watching this on Facebook as well as YouTube, obviously you don't have access to the patches. You have access to them through Anne, of course, but you don't have them in your physical presence right now. But you can actively make the choice tonight. You can, go run to your, you can go on Amazon and you can order incandescent bulbs. And for example, like every time I broadcast, you'll always see that I have a little bit of a reddish hue to me because I have 4 red incandescent bulbs. They're not LEDs, they're 4 incandescent bulbs and then 2 clear. And then my lamp has a clear light bulb here. So that's why I always have kind of a reddish, more of a reddish hue to it. If you check out any of Dr. Jack Krus's videos on YouTube, whether it's his channel or anyone, he's got quite a few people that interview him on a regular basis. I have to reach out to him. I keep on forgetting to call him up and say, hey, you need to come on my YouTube channel. But you'll see that pretty much 99% of the time, he is in red light. And so he's all red during the broadcast. He's either all red light or he's out in the sun without a shirt, gaining natural.
I mean, what a concept, right?
Imagine that, free infrared light from the sun, because we are infrared light beings. The body is infrared light, and the sun happens to be 42% infrared light. Imagine that. It's not a coincidence. That's obviously by divine design, which is why this patch technology uses your own infrared light. Your body is the battery that operates this FDA registered compliant class 1 medical device. It redirects your own infrared light to activate 1/3 of your previously dormant stem cells. So let's talk about the weird thing that this dad did of this teenager who was celebrating her birthday. And when they had this, it was her 16th birthday, and it was this giant hall. And he told, because her daughter's like, Daddy, 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 I want to have a sweet 16th birthday party, blah, blah, blah. He's like, fine. He goes, on one condition. I have control of your light environment in the hall. She's like, done. I just want the party. So what ended up happening was that he ended up, at his expense, he went and he changed all the light bulbs in that hall. He got permission from the hotel to change all the light bulbs, and he switched them all out to infrared light incandescent bulbs, which gave a pretty cool hue because everything was lit up in red. And he also used some violet incandescent bulbs because he always talks about using infrared, and you can also have you can also use violet incandescent bulbs. So you see during the daytime you can't tell, but because it's on during the daytime you can't tell as much, but during my nighttime broadcast you can see in the corner I have a violet light as well. So he ended up doing that. And during that birthday party, that's when he discovered, as he spoke to a lot of the kids, he discovered that, oh my gosh, for every 10 kids that he would talk, 9 of them had insomnia. He's like, what's going on here? Well, of course, this party went till like 1 o'clock in the morning. The next day, all the kids reported back to his daughter that they had the best sleep they'd ever had in the last year. And that's because they were under infrared light bulbs instead of the fluorescent bulbs, because all hotels, all conference halls, convention centers, they all use LED lights. And those kids all had better sleep. And so that was like the buzz. The buzz was that they had a good night's sleep for the first time in years. And the second thing was how cool the light environment looked with the red and the purple, because they'd never been to a party where everything was red and purple, right? And I thought, isn't this fascinating? So then a good number of those kids started telling his daughter, like, hey, we want to talk to your dad. We want to learn a little bit more about this because there's something more here. Of course, you're going to have a group of them that are already into health and wellness. The athletes are going, oh my gosh, this is going to make a big difference in my performance.
They're young, getting them while they're young. Yes.
Like literally the light bulbs inside of their brain started going, oh my gosh, got to pay attention to this. They're like, we need to pick this guy's brain. This crazy dude, he's on to something. He knows something we don't know. The rest is history. The bottom line is that you can do that too. You can switch out your light environment. And one of the things you can do is in the first 30 minutes of your day, because I tell this to everyone, whether you get started on the patches or not, because I'm about you feeling better and empowering you. As many things as I can give you that you can do for free. And then other things are going to be for fee. Most of them you're not going to get from me because I don't sell a whole bunch of stuff. But I'll refer you to Amazon and say, hey, get your incandescent bulbs from Amazon. Hey, these are things that you can get that are low cost. You can get them from Amazon just because it's easy peasy to get there instead of running all over the place. Or some of them you can get from Whole Foods or from Sprouts, or if you're in California, we have a chain called Mother's Market, which is like a mom and pop. Mother's is like Sprouts or like Trader Joe's or like Whole Foods. But the bottom line is that you can start to take certain steps to start feeding your body and treating your body with love and respect so that your body can take better care of you. You'll have more energy. You're just going to feel better, right?
I just want to add one more thing that, as Lillian's educating in a way to just shift one thing in your daily life. When I came, this is a beach community, and I had never heard of grounding. And I just went to the beach every day. I walked on the beach in the sand and barefooted, or I just prop up a chair and I would just sit there for hours. I mean, without walking. And not only is it changing everything because you're on the coast, and I would never did this, and I was from California, and my feet were in the sand the whole time. And I've learned so much about how much that affects your health in a very positive way. So there's so much that we're learning now that is at our fingertips. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So I love what you're sharing with them because again, how much did it cost you to put your feet?
Nothing.
It cost free. It's
I was free. And this is full of shells. So I was like a little kid picking up shells when I'd walk. It was fun.
So everybody can do this. And some of, the majority of the country, obviously, they're not on the coast. For those of us who are on the coast, we have access to, the beaches and so forth. But some of you are by rivers. Oh my gosh, that is so fantastic. Rivers, lakes, streams, any body of water. But even if you don't have a body of water close to you, if you have dirt, if you have grass, which the last time I checked, pretty much even people who live in condos and apartments have grass and have dirt. Maybe not so much like in big cities like Chicago and New York City, but you have central parks and so forth. So you are going to have to maybe make the effort if you're in a high-rise apartment building. Obviously, you don't have a front and a backyard, but you can go downstairs to whatever the closest park is to you, and barefoot. You want your feet to be on the grass, on the dirt, on the sand. You want your hands to touch the ground, to touch the grass. Nature's carpet is grass, right? And those trees are there for you to take the negative energy from your body. It's to pull the negative toxins, to pull the negative energy literally out of your body. All you have to do is touch. You don't even have to hug the tree. All you have to do is touch the tree with your hands, barefoot at the base of the tree, on the dirt or on the roots of the tree. And that tree will literally pull. It's like a magnet. It will pull the negative energy out of your body. And if you mindfully, with intention, go, thank you, tree, take whatever it is that doesn't serve me, take it now. It'll replace it with negative ions. That is part of what you get from the beach water. It's part of what you get from grounding. It will put the negative ions that will charge your body to move the energy in your body. And that's why you feel better, because you're outside in the sun, in the fresh air, touching that tree, getting grounded. And the last thing before we close up, everything is by design. It's so incredible how everything is connected, because the trees need us, we need the trees. The trees need our carbon dioxide that we exhale, and they give us oxygen. So it's like one feeds the other, right? When we look up at the sky, not only are we seeing the spectrum of light from the sun, but by looking at the blue sky, did you know that you're helping your kidneys and your liver by looking at that blue ray of light, just the blue sky? The Taoists have known this for over 5,000 years, that looking at the blue sky actually helps your liver. Prior to 30 years ago, because 30 years ago, we had bilirubin lights in hospitals for premature and for newborns who had something called jaundice, which their liver is immature, so that they have built too high a level of bilirubin. It causes the yellowing of the eyes and the yellowing of the skin. So prior to having bilirubin lights in the, whether it's pediatric intensive care or neonatal intensive care, we used to have in hospitals, I'm told, that they would take the babies and put them on the east-facing wall of a hospital, and they would open up the windows, keep the babies in diapers with just their little eyes covered, and then they would flip them every 30 minutes, starting at sunrise all the way till noon, so that they would get the natural sunlight to regulate their liver and their kidneys. And
Amazing. Amazing.
Free, doesn't cost us anything. So you can all start to the first 30 minutes of the day, won't cost you anything. Get out in the morning, look up eastward towards the sunrise before 10 o'clock in the morning. And now you're getting fresh air, you're getting fresh sun, no sunscreen, no sunglasses. If you wear contacts, no contacts, as little clothing as possible. In a perfect world where if I had a magic wand, you would be able to go into your backyard where no one could see you, and you would go naked into your backyard, and you would be on both sides, you would get, the sun. But not all of us have that. Like, for example, myself this morning, what do? I happen to live across the street from the beach. So I put my bikini on, and I understand, the benefit of being out in the sun. And so I do 30 seconds to a minute of sprinting. I might, I'm sure somebody looking at me just thinks that I'm training, for running or something. I run as fast as I can, because you may not be aware of this, but just 30 seconds of sprinting as fast as you can. You would think that doing that once, twice, 3 times a day, how much benefit can you get from 30 seconds of sprinting? I'm here to tell you, you can get a lot more benefit from 30 minutes of sprinting than you can from an hour of cardio. And we have research to prove that. Your calf muscle is tied, it's called the solex muscle. It's actually tied to the sun, and it's tied to bringing down your glucose levels. So if you have DHEA being destroyed from LED lights, and you have insulin resistance and inflammation going up because of your light environment, if you just sprint for 30 seconds, not 30 minutes, just run as fast as you can for 30 seconds, it activates the solex muscle in your calves, which brings down your glucose levels.
Lillian, there's another thing with high blood pressure, which is another thing that I never had mine was always low blood pressure, but I gained a lot of weight. And that's another thing that after I'd been on the patches, I've been on them a year, but my wellness doctor is an MD, and all my markers were perfect. All of my markers were perfect. Both times I went in. And I think the thing is, when you're a senior, which I am, they always ask you, well, how many medications are you on? I'm like, none. They're astounded. And I think that's another part of restoring all things. And the opposite of what the world says we have to do is be sick and we're not aging, we're reversing aging. It doesn't, what does David say? It's just not anti-aging, it's reversing aging. That's the huge part of it.
So I think that's a great place for us to stop, because I think we have some actionable steps here that people can take away, whether they decide to get started on the patches or not. It doesn't cost you anything to reach out to Anne and get in touch with her and find out a little bit more about this. But you can watch this on a replay, and maybe you might want to take notes next time and decide, you know what, I'm going to start doing a 30-second sprint every morning. I'm just going to get out, wear
Exactly.
wear shorts and run out there, and just 30 seconds. Everybody has 30 seconds of time. You can literally run 15 seconds in one direction and then 15 seconds back to your house. And then once you get back to your house, wherever you have grass or dirt, again, you can put your hands in your feet so you're like a sphinx, getting grounded, touch a tree on the way, say, thank you, tree, for being here. Then go back in. You could literally have that little routine done in a minute. Now, I would encourage you to do 7 minutes of walking, in the sun after you do your sprinting. You want to do 7 minutes in the sun in either direction so that you're getting the benefit of the vitamin D from the UVA and the UVB light. But that's a gift of health, and you're going to be invigorated and you're going to feel so much better moving forward. And before we close here, I want to make sure that people get in touch with you, because I know that they can reach out to you, and you would be more than happy to share with them a little bit more details about this life-saving technology. What's the best place for them to reach you?
Which one would you suggest? Email
I think,
or
whatever you're more comfortable with. If you want people to text you on the cell phone, or if you,
sure, they can text me, but I kind of screen call. So if you would
I'll
please
yeah.
just text me, that would be wonderful. My phone number is 949-981-3718. Just text me first, because sometimes we get a lot of calls that we have to deal with. And turn it around 123@gmail.com is my email address. And then if you're interested more further on LifeWave, we can give you more of that information as well. And the stem cell activation patches, yes.
Yeah, so just reach out to Anne. Make sure I don't answer unknown calls, but if you reach out to me,
Yes,
in her case, the same thing. You just let her know that you're interested. You just say, hi, saw you on YouTube, interested in stem cells, saw you on Facebook, wherever you saw,
exactly.
interested in stem cells, tell me more. And then she knows, oh, okay, somebody's interested in that. Then she'll go ahead and she'll return your call as soon as she has time available. And then make sure you include your first and your last name so that she can save you to her contacts and know who she's talking to and get back to you. All right.
I love the thing this is Lillian has taught us is we are saving one life at a time. So no matter what your health condition is, it literally is, and it's a giving product, and that's the best thing I can say.
Yeah. So if you're interested in being the little kid under the Christmas tree going, whoopee, 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 trust me, both Anne and I right now, we're both Santa Claus. We're getting to share this life-saving technology with you. And as you get started on the patches and then you start realizing the benefits and start feeling better, and you start it's incredible when you start to notice that. But what's more exciting is when your friends and family and people that say, what are you doing differently? Oh my gosh. You look more refreshed, you look younger, your hair looks softer and smoother.
Amen.
Something's different about you. You're like, you can tell, and they're like, oh yeah. And you don't have to be on the patches for 6 months to have that effect. I know plenty of people that in the first 30 days, people are coming to them saying, what are you doing different? There's something
I was
different.
bombarded, wasn't I? I was bombarded with people.
Yeah, you've been bombarded with people, as have I. And so you know that it's working and that it's not just your imagination. You really are feeling the effects, but people are noticing the effects too. And
Absolutely.
now every time you get someone who is obviously giving you that compliment, but also when you help someone to learn about this life-saving technology and it radically changes their life as well in a positive manner. Now you were Santa Claus, and then now you get to be the little kid under the Christmas tree that goes whoopee, 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 which is why I keep my Christmas tree year around, because for the last 2 years, I feel that I am a Santa Claus sharing this life-saving technology. All right, my friends and gems. Thank you for your time and attention. I know it's a
Well,
choice.
thank you so much for joining us.
And make sure you get back in touch with Anne, and make sure you like this video. Make sure you hit the notification
Absolutely.
bell, because then you'll get notified with because we're going to be doing different topics and different series here.
Definitely. Please
Educating.
join.
And you want
Please
to
join us.
share this video with whoever you might know that might benefit from this life-saving information.
We're
All right.
so excited.
Ciao for now, my friends and gems. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.